projects will be those where you have spent a lot of money, but in terms of progress of the project, is at a much lesser percentage. Those to me are problematic projects because the amount of money spent must align with the progress that is made by a particular project. So in your project, I mean, you have a total appreciation of your project. Would you say you have projects where a lot of money has been spent and then the progress is very slow, and what would be the reasons?
Thank you, Honorable. I think what I was saying from the beginning to say, what a table my boss has been given to us to fill. And how libelela the percentage, expenditure percentage, is the expenditure of what was warranted that year versus what was spent that year.
Okay.
However, this project, on the total estimated cost of the project, would have maybe been spent on the previous years, not necessarily on that year. So how over 28%? Ghana no pile 250,000 that year. And that year I spent only 70,000. It's because hona me project yone as a whole in terms of how the amount spent go hodimo. We have really spent a lot of money, 22 million. It means so much work has already been done. And currently this project, the whole intention of this project was to form clusters. And those clusters were formed, and those clusters were working, and those clusters were now given to the private sector to implement. So it is actually the challenge that we ourselves were having, trying to interpret how.
But even though we didn't actually give the table, where we were saying more instructions are on in addition to showing us how our feeling, give us additional information about the project so that we know what the whole project is. That's what's in the instructions.
When you look at the comments, Chairperson, you will see the line that says the strategy was 100% complete and then transferred to individual ministries for implementation. That is what we are trying to say. Yes, the consultancy started to do the strategies, finish the strategies, and then send them. So that is if the information is not adequate, we will be happy, Honorable Chairperson, to go back and provide more information. But the funding that we were given and the strategies that were needed were done, 100% completed, and then distributed to, like, the strategy on tourism went to tourism, the strategy on beef went to the Ministry of Agriculture. So those were now given out because National Strategy Office was working with these ministries and these sectors to come up with the strategies, sir. But if more information is needed, we will bring it, sir.
Yeah.
Chairman,
yes,
if I may, yes, thank you, Chair. Like the sorry. Renale Statement 6, salary is development expenditure here, as contained in the ASA, Annual Statement of Accounts. This is where you will see how much the project was awarded as a total estimated cost. And then the accumulated expenditure from the time any project is similar. If I give an example, NSO strategies, it was awarded 39,161,000 at the time, 100 NDP Simolola Chair. And then actual expenditure up to the year 2021, in nearly 22 million. And like she's saying, she only spent 70 million just for the financial year 21-22. It's not like she didn't spend throughout the whole period. This one is just for the financial year, 70 million. May I agree with you, Chair, that they should provide additional information here so that relating to the whole project, similar thing, more planning under the comments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Already rain, hone, na kunyana re bola ile ba DIS ba re emitse. So we can move a little faster so that we have time in the afternoon to read for tomorrow.
No, no page. I seem to have lost track.
You said 12.
Earlier when I asked a question that now appears on page 12, that has to do with the expenditure for the year. But then again, earlier. But in case can we still go back to it and make clarity more? Because the records will show there was an underspending. Yeah, Madi. What could have been the cause of that?
Thank you, Chairperson. Like I said earlier on, development projects span across the many years, the financial years. So when you see the warranted provisions for those particular year and then the income, it means the project was coming either from the previous year and it is still going to go to the other years. So the implementation modalities usually maybe at times delay and we pay according to all the projects as they are named. We pay according to the milestones that are stated in the contract amounts. So what could have been paid in the financial year will be carried over to be paid in the next financial year, meaning some milestones were not reached in a particular year. So all the provisions that were given in that year, we do our best to try to work according to the schedules of the project. But there are so many unseen circumstances that lead to some delays. So the amount that is not spent is actually carried over to the following year to continue the implementation of the project. Yeah.
Move on to page 12. More counter-terrorism analysis.
Yeah, just hold there, I just wanted to get something clear.
One nike explain la chair gore kana ha ba re warranted go ra gore mo ngwageng o ne ba kopile ne ba filwe 3.8 go ra gore ba dirisa 2.9 gore the only mo ngwageng o re o dirang. These are the percentages relating to this year.
Okay. Ramrai.
Thank you, Chairman. Moving to page 12, Counter-terrorism analysis and fusion agency, 38 million. Gongwe motho ka botsa gore tota hela go dirwa eng dirwa teng thata gore ke a utlwa gore ga the counter-terrorism analysis mme go ngwana le ka tlhalosa gore tota hela go dirwang mo go page B. Remote license.
Maybe just to get rid of it, just answer it. He's just asking, and I think you can answer him, for a counter-terrorism. And so I think I have the same question, Ramnari.
Yeah.
Counter-terrorism, when we read other reports, it doesn't look like terrorism is a big thing here. So making 38 million, I have similar question, yes.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Earlier on, throughout our discussions this morning, sir, I talked about the affiliation of some of the international bodies that we are affiliated to, and one of them gave the anti-money laundering issues, where it is very clear that some of the funding of terrorism activities in other parts of the world are channeled through, nobody wants to be seen to be giving money, so they channel money through different channels, and they look at the readiness of every country to ensure that their territories are not used to transit anti-money laundering issues. So we need equipment, we need intelligence equipment to be able to be tracking all the activities of the terrorists. The honorable members will be aware that as the countries were being assessed for their readiness to be stopping anti-money laundering worldwide, Botswana was at a point in time grey listed because some of our laws and some of our activities were not at the relevant stage to be able to contain some of the anti-money laundering activities. Therefore, for Botswana to be removed from the grey list, there was a need to be ready to have this fusion agency working with the rest of other agencies within the economy to make sure that issues of money laundering are curtailed. Issues of funding of terrorism, of so that they can pass it and say Botswana. So those are some of you'll see them, Honorable Monahing, on page 4 of that.
Oh, okay. I think I'm also getting information from the site as I listen to her. Or if we go to Annex B, then it will show what they were actually buying.
Yes,
I think I got a bit alarmed myself when I saw 38 million. So you guys were buying furniture, you were buying cars, so that we established the agency.
Right.
Is that what is? Maybe that should be in the explanation to her, because the amount is quite on the high.
Yeah.
But it is actually broken down.
That's why it's
Sorry, sir.
Can I also write on that?
Because of molao wa intelligence wa engwe kore ke re se re bolela gore Nyame we succeeded here on this aspect. Re tshwere batho ba babedi ba ne ba dira money laundering, re tshwere batho ba babedi ba ne ba kore re setšhaba se itse gore tota gone mme tiro ya dirwa against all the ills tse batho ba te batla go di dira, because we tla re le mo lehinya gore a o ra motho ya la ko mo lepolole o moraro go dirisitswe 38 million go lwantsha borukuthi ba money laundering. Potso ya go ke gore a mela ba tshwara.
I think it's just why is not information out there about the successes and achievements of these agencies. Maybe the agencies are not interacting with the public. What you are basically saying is that the agencies must interact with the public more on their achievements, not only on their objectives, but on their achievements as well. Yes. Kitsahori is a point made, and you look at that. I still plead with you, Honorables, I know you have a point. Can you make it so that we move a little faster to accommodate the DIS?
Well,
you had a point.
may I?
Yes, please.
Still on the same home, le purchase ya dikoloi, and the comment has been that the supplier could not deliver all the vehicles. What does this mean? Does it mean, because it doesn't show anywhere, and what is the current status?
I'm being, and may I just kindly say, Sitafa, we used to say it, and we call it Sitafa, Counter-terrorism and Fusion Agency. It actually was transferred to DIS, and honorable members might also, especially the questionnaire, Honorable Monahing and I, as they come in the next session, or how do they actually tell the nation of some of the experiences, the achievements that they are doing. But on this other one, say, the delivery of the when you look at the column that says percentage of completion to date, it says 100%, meaning even if we didn't spend the whole money in the particular year, but to date, all the vehicles were able to be delivered, which means they were delivered past the current year that was under review, but in the following year. And I think that particular year, the COVID year, and a year or two afterwards, procurement of government vehicle was such a difficult thing because we were told all the chips that were going into these vehicles have been diverted internationally. It was a very, very big, we order and wait for about 6 to 7 months for the deliveries to happen. So it was the availability in the market of some of the placements that we had done, sir.
Thank you very much. Can we move a little faster? Captain General, do you have any?
Thank you, sir. I'll only stop where you stop me, Chair, because oh, thank you, and for those that have been cleared, because we were closing them, and for those that are to monitor or memo, so we can go to page 19, sir. On page 19, there is item labeled 0215 department, yeah, DIS. DIS, what I think is information services. Come on, page 19, say. Item 0215 DIS.
In this one.
Can I check?
Can you speak to it,
Thank you, sir. 215 DIS, there is a credit balance there, 4.1. This amount, say, as outlined in the retention money, as per the list here to Moasa, is different. Moasa only 3513.59. The ministry will indicate clear 4177. So same applies to 0216. They had indicated their opening balance as 3440, but the ASA indicates 3481.29. So these are the two that they can talk to. Say thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you with her? Maybe this one is for you, finance manager, or chief accountant here.
Oh, thank you, sir. The figures that we indicated here, they are from the previous reports. These are more memo. And the information that we got from Office of the Accountant General when we did our spreadsheet, we indicated this information. So these are the balances from the previous, from the memo, from the previous report.
Actually, you are talking about the discrepancy between what is in ASA and what is in this report.
Yes, sir.
She's now saying they were getting the figures from, where were you getting the figures from?
From the previous PAC report, the memo.
So, indicated the memo is from the PAC, but the submission that we shared with the ministry is what I have here. I'll share with the chair. The figures which we give to all the ministries. So unless they overlooked it, but the memo has say PAC.
Yes, you see, for me now, the issue really should be what explains the discrepancy. Can they explain it, or is something that you need to come together and try to reconcile?
I think you should reconcile and ability set to the.
I think we'll reconcile, but I think the problem it was key system, key gaps, because these figures never take from the previous closing balances.
Okay, Masco, let's move.
Thank you very much. That's all I had, Chair, in terms of areas that needs to be addressed, unless the Auditor General has something.
Auditor General, do you have something here that you wish to talk about? I know there is also Auditor General's queries that I've come across that I think must be explained.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the queries for the 2021 report, the evidence that they provided was sufficient, except for one where we did not receive the approval at page 44. I think if the accounting officer has the approval that they gave to the contractor, they could avail it. But the evidence that they provided for the rest of the other findings was sufficient.
Okay, on the queries, I think I picked a few things there that I thought maybe they are worth explaining, particularly that most of the queries are around the broadcasting services, where, among other things, there were direct appointments that were unexplained. And well, of course, I read the responses, but maybe I would want to hear from yourselves why those direct appointments that the Auditor General itself queried.
Thank you, Chairperson. Like the Auditor General said, the direct appointments were done.
Yes.
And it's because the companies that were able to do that work were, couldn't say, it was a,
They were the only ones who could do it.
yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
And we did actually provide some of the queries that are raised. We did provide the answers. And if I may come in and talk about the one of the extension of the contract, that the queries that we didn't, we actually have found the approval of the extension of contract that was done there. And I think by the time that we are submitting, we needed to go and dig in the archives to find the Supiba thing, and we do have it. If I may
Yes,
submit it, sir.
though I do accept that you did give some explanation.
Later.
There are other things in addition to direct appointments, issues like contract variation without approval. There are also, it looks like there are issues around broadcasting services. Is it because the work is so specialized? Why broadcasting services?
Like it is said, say, it is really okay for Auditor General to question, but we provided evidence to show that things were actually done properly. It's just that maybe by the time that they were auditing, they could not find the direct appointment was there. The scope was changed and permission was requested for this change in scope. And the change in scope was basically due to the fact that when we were buying some equipment, there was another contract that supplied the generators. So we didn't find it. We needed to save government money, not to buy more generators. So we reduced the scope. The query was the scope was reduced, but the contract amount was not reduced.
Yeah.
Because of this was a specialized work. There were some other components that needed to be done. The training, the addition of some other, the exciters, the antennas that needed to be added to the, and that is one of the engineering technicalities, Honorable Chair, that when I started, I said, because of the questions that I asked, the question that I asked myself, the findings that we are trying to dig, some of them are very technical, and we had requested that we bring the engineers who were doing the projects to help us.
The engineers, yes. Yeah.
Can we allow him to take oath, sir, to answer?
Can I understand something, Mr. Chair? This was a direct appointment to this company.
Yes, sir.
So why were those things omitted? So it's about training and those antennas and all those other things. The company we engaged never shot somewhere.
It was the ITT, sir, that was short. where the expert company realized that, for this work to be complete, some other things needed to be coming in. So it is not the company that was lagging behind. It was an international company that was doing this work worldwide. And it was the ITT and the procurement from the Department of Broadcasting Services that was short of some other things. But being a reputable company that know that we can't put on this and leave out some other things. And then that is where engagement took place for the department to include those that had to be included to make sure that the work is completed, sir.
What doesn't sit comfortably with me, at least from where I'm sitting, is that you talk about reducing the scope, but you are also saying the contract sum remain the same. When the scope has been reduced, one thing, from where I am, that when the scope is reduced, necessarily the contract sum goes down. That is what one would think, except if the engineer wants to explain something to the contrary.
Or even go up high or home, do tse di ediwang di atura ho gaisa tse di reduciwa, but the fact that it remains the same, it's extremely suspicious. Very suspicious. Look, why did the ITT not include them in the first place? We were doing something is already right, which is room for corruption.
Yeah, because in my view, Mr. Chair, if it's direct appointment, Harry the ITT, we engaged because it's direct appointment. I wonder why they were left out and then they come later, but the amount doesn't change. It's a bit suspicious.
That's very suspicious, yes. Would you?
Okay, Honorable Chair,
Yeah.
can I request that the engineer helps me, sir?
What's that oath, yeah? Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I
Wabaman Calvin
swear, swear by Almighty God
by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this Committee of Parliament
that the evidence that I shall give by this Committee of Parliament
shall be the truth
shall be the truth
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You are under oath.
Thank you.
You are under oath. You may sit down, sir. You are under oath, and I guess the attorney. Are you here? What are the implications of being under oath?
That he should tell the truth. If he doesn't tell the truth, we shall take him to court.
I wanted you to understand that and appreciate it, because you are not the accounting officer, right? But you have agreed to come and give evidence.
Yeah.
Say, members of parliament are concerned, and they are saying the way this process is evolved, they give a lot of room for corruption. What would you say to that?
Se ka se buang hela modulasetulo ke gore ke a leboga betso.
Calvin? I'll just call you Calvin. The easier name.
Se ka se buang hela modulasetulo ke gore kana this was a very complicated project, yeah, digital migration. Bontsi ya rona le even le ma-engineer ne le ntsha mo go rona. Me se re neng ra sira ya ka nne ra bua re ne ra place a tendera an ITT, and with the ITT we wanted, like they said, 48 TXS, so transmitters I mean to say. So of the 48 transmitters, we at the time of actual order, because bone ha ba ne ba tendera, they gave us the original, which is this one. This is the original order. So on the original order, we had a sum of 6060502.73.
Is that 60 million?
Yeah.
60.6 million.
US dollars.
Okay.
Yano, go lebelesega gore gono ho head and equipment e leng gore ne re requestile is redundant. And you know, in electronic terms, ha so se se redundant se ka nna sa go latha sone se sengwe hela mo tseleng o bo sa kgone go boela mo phoso. And this was very important for us to have a redundant head-end equipment. Besides that, in a project e leng gore ka bo yone madi na le mantsi. So ha madi a le mantsi anong go bo gote ka gore madi a mantsi a mme re ka dumela gore re neele company e re sa itse madi a kana kana. And then we came up le gore gongwe go irwa facility acceptance after reducing those other components, which was within, of course, the scope. And then equipment acceptance initially in a seo moti kana o tshwantse o bona gore a ke tsone tse o di batang, are they of the scope that you gave them, the specifications, everything. So it was very good for us to go and find that out. The other thing was equipment acceptance. High equipment jalo is no go dira tshwantse gore ma engineer ba eteng ba go bona gore a me equipment ye ntseng ka hare e thokang gore e tshwantse go nna ka teng. And then bo go nna le training e leng gore ma engineer a rona ya ka ke bua digital was a new animal to everyone. So no go thoka gore ma engineer a train mo go yone. So go ne ga tsengwa component yone ya go train ma engineer. And on top of that, because ya ka ke bua ne le ntsa mo mongwe le mongwe no go thoka gore re nne le local training. Gore local training ne re lebile batho ba ba tshwananya ka ba bo di base ba bo ba ile gore they will of course be dealing with us on this project. Me ba sa tlhalogane the models that we are bringing in, the generators and everything. So then we had to request for Honele that those already either kamadiale anere who could and on top of that, we realized there was this antenna which was not in. It's a digital antenna, it's a satellite digital antenna MPEG-2. In a so thing, Leonard Rapatas have re-aid. It was around 151,000, if I'm not mistaken. So, before you knew, Halika Libella mo our report issue Pangori, Yabu Hell, Tralam project. Issue Pahor Hunahanali, my dear Island were in the Raukets account in Mohonia, go now and Nareka the antenna alone. The rest of the component we managed to fit them into this after Snohira reduction. Okay. And all this went through the PPADB because Irla has no replace our orders. This is kind of like requesting an order that was not initially given. So we went to PPADB, CTB3, how can I level license on all the new components except the antenna.
Yeah. So basically, even you, as you were implementing the project, you were in the dark on certain matters.
Yeah, Nikanali said, Mimoli said in the Nikanali Loni, Nikitsuri antenna or Nikanali DTH will be able to handle this. But supplier arena Abarikana, you are taking packets. If you increase the packets to the answer digitally, they're going to be bigger than what we have, and your bandwidth within this cannot be able to accommodate it. So it's better you get an extra one, and hence the extra antenna. Yeah. How can we be TV on piano title or on an antenna and a DTH, but on an antenna along DTT?
They
are working well, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Members, there you are. Any question to Calvin? He said even the direct appointment had to go through PPADB, you said. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then the variation, you explained it.
It also went through the PPADB.
It also went through PPADB.
Yes,
and then, yes, I think those were some of the few issues. But what really concerned me was that most of the queries were coming from broadcasting services. Yeah. Of course, there was another query around NGOs. NGOs who were assisted by the ministry did not file returns. yeah, 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 that they are going to come before us. Yeah.
Napa, with Napa.
Okay.
Napa will be coming.
Okay, Napa will deal with that. But other than that, I don't know what is remaining.
So this one will be monitor, and all the others, whether balances, memos, and okay. And then information, executive positions, if it could be forwarded to the secretariat. Okay.
We need not follow you on the information that you have promised us, Mamregis.
Yes, sir.
It should be deposited with our secretaries so that we could study it and see if it makes sense.
Just to get clarification, Honorable Chair, how do we get the executive positions? No relay, there was some process to bring the PSP. No relay, she's still outside the country, because it looks like even the reason why Nera Sadibon is because she had appeared separately before PAC. That's why that issues came. So do we go ahead and submit, or are you going to have her come?
No, the PSP really, what we want her for is specific to the Auditor General. That the Office of the Auditor General has been without a substantive head for 2.5 years. I think it's quite anomalous. It's not something that really should be acceptable, especially when you are dealing with an organization like the Auditor General. That really helps us to ensure prudent financial management. So we are going to engage her. I think the information will go out, the request will go out to her to appear before us. We'll find time, and we'll also ask her what time she has so that she can explain that to us. We find it particularly surprising that you can have an office that exists for 2 years without a substantive head, when such position is actually contained in the Constitution of the Republic of Botswana.
Okay, sir.
Some people talk about constitutional delinquency. This may be just it, where people don't even respect what is in the Constitution. So we will find time with the PSP, 30 minutes, so that she explains, so that again she gives us assurance as to when that is likely to happen. Okay, and maybe even help us with the process. Okay. Maybe she's not in control or in charge of the process, maybe somebody else. She will be able to explain.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
What we expect is that you'll give us that information. But members of parliament have been asking questions, showing concern here and there. One wants to believe that you got some powerful learnings from that. It was not in vain that they asked questions. Where you think some things could be corrected, you will do that. Where advocacy needs to be done, that also will be done. So please, let's work together to ensure that the financial resources of this country are used appropriately.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Right.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Hakits kana onga bothata jo botona ke nako mme ke dumela gore o ka re o gongwa ha re boela moragonyana o ka re togetse re sa itse gore tse di tswetsweng ke di tse di memilweng ke di unless ke o no ntshile ko morago, but otherwise ha re tsamaya ka pace e gongwe re ta toga e kete ga re go ge re tekerale, especially the new members, because ha ke ra entse ana re tshwanetse etse re di tswetse re dintshe completely.
Tota ke re mmene ke le ra e bua le Mamolefi mme le ene o nantse a ke re o ntse o le ka go ba tlhalosetsa gore memo ke dihe hela jang, because we are also trying to look at time like you have rightly pointed out. So Anna are superetsa kgang tsa teng moragonyana le ka gore le moragonyana re tla kopana le rona hela o le ka go ithuna dintho. Re lebogile batho beso re lebogile thata. Thank you for coming. Have a good day.
Sure.